Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome to the Third Eye Podcast. Om Namah Shivaya means I bow to Lord Shiva. I do not literally bow to Lord Shiva. I simply wanted to practice a prayer that was not one I have ever used before. It is definitely interesting how other people pray. I find it very beautiful to see people bowing for things they cannot see in deep faith and devotion. It's quite interesting. I have done it. On deep trips, I find the need to bow sometimes when I'm dancing about the apartment or sitting still, gazing at an image for a long time. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I feel compelled to do that. I feel compelled to do a lot of strange things in the middle of a trip. If I choose to inhabit my body during such time, if I decide to sit still and close my eyes, I can go elsewhere. Or what I often do is just go to a space where I I contemplate thoughts on a deeper level, and that place is such a wealth of knowledge. It seems like coming to conclusions is so much easier there when I don't have to focus on anything else. And when I accompany that with music that has a profoundly uplifting feel to it, typically one without words, I don't like lyrics. Um, it allows, I don't know, it seems to amplify in a way the thought process if I use music. And maybe not amplify it, just modify it. It doesn't have to be done that way, but it is interesting to experiment. And life is an experiment, as we all know. So I feel like if you're not constantly experimenting, if you're not open minded, life is going to seem really boring. And you might even come to some conclusion that you've kind of figured life out, because if you stay in the same kind of rut for a long time, that rut will become your world. Imagine an actual rut. You go in the same pathway for your entire life. You create such a deep rut that the walls climb up all around you. It's damn near impossible to get out of this rut. And you know the walls well because it is your world and you've been down it many times. It becomes the easiest path for you. A path traversed through a forest becomes a normal footpath, and then maybe you pave the footpath with stones, and then it becomes a highway, and then it becomes, who knows how fast you can go down that rut once you're in it. But if you continue to do it, you'll get faster and faster at accomplishing your goal of repeating the rut. My grandpa, it's really weird to call him grandpa because I've only ever known him as Papa. David Long is, or was, sorry, he probably still most certainly is a preacher. And he also he didn't pave, he graded roads. He graded our dirt roads, specifically to my knowledge. And I was thinking about that the other day, about potholes. How he graded roads. He also worked at a dump, taking care of trash. And he preached. There's like three interesting qualities to that. Potholes are a detriment to everybody, and unkempt roads are detrimental to people if they need to go to and from work or the store or wherever they need to go. People accumulate and people accumulate a lot of trash, and if they don't dispose of it, it piles up and it creates a real problem. So he was in a place where they took care of trash, and then he preached. I don't know what else he did that might have been like kind of occupational like that, but I know things that he was interested in as well, like motorcycles and a certain type of aesthetic of like I don't necessarily say skull and bones. That's not right, but like a a real biker aesthetic. Skulls, leather, nice, really nice bike, long rides to big old bike meetups and other places, that type of thing, as far as my knowledge. And but that's just interesting. There's like now we've got four pieces to this interesting picture of a preacher and a road grader and a trash man and a biker. I wonder if there was ever anything else he wanted to do. And also, I don't know if we still have them, but there was tapes of his preaches, of his sermons. I don't know what to call them. Sermons probably it, but I wonder because I think I also understand correctly about his journey is that he didn't he preached in a few churches because he would often run into they didn't like the way that he would preach. So I wonder what it was and how he would preach about it that was different than what they liked. Because there's often in society nowadays stories of how the church and or different religions want you to see it a certain way and don't offer they don't allow any kind of like personal or individual interpretation of the situation. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad. I'm simply saying that there is like importance in free will. And there is an important aspect to being able to think for yourself and it's just you have to be able to think for yourself because if you don't, it's very detrimental to your experience here on this planet if you let other people decide things for you. Because I mean, yeah, you could get extraordinarily lucky, and the people that decide everything for you could have all of your best interests, but that's just likely not the case. So you've got to be able to figure things out for yourself. It's pretty shitty though, unfortunately, if you are dealt a bad hand and you don't really have a good brain. But for those people, they can help that, and those people need to be helped as well. We need to aid those people because, like, that's kind of our responsibility as people. They are part of the tribe, whether they have the capability to comprehend a thing or not. And I don't I know forgiveness is a part of the solution. There is talk of like mass amnesty. I want to know what mass amnesty means. What does mass amnesty mean? Does it mean amnesty for all of the people that have done really bad things? Cuz can you mass amnesty refers to a government program granting legal status to a large group of undocumented immigrants. It's completely misunderstood it. See? typically involving a pardon of their unlawful entry or presence. See, different. That's important too. Like people that came here and are working pretty hard and aren't doing anything wrong. I mean, it'd be nice to have some kind of documentation of what kind of person they are. We can't be letting in criminals and people who have done horrible things. Um, but we've there is benefit to letting in people who um are not from our country. For example, what's her name? I think I'm going to say it wrong. Ye Yeonmi Park. Yeonmi Park is I think she escaped from North Korea, and a very very tragic story. I listened to it yesterday on the Sean Ryan show, and that's another podcast, but it was horrible. It was very hard to listen to, and the description of North Korea is beyond concerning. It really does shine a light on how hell could be here on Earth when you listen to her describe growing up in North Korea, being sold, being trafficked. No, it was sold first, and then, or is it the same thing? Sold, trafficked to China, passed back and forth, sold a few times, horribly assaulted, raped throughout the entire thing. Her mother, her sister. Um, it's a horrible experience. And what's so interesting is the how things seem to work over there in Korea. They've replaced. So imagine a word game for a moment where you imagine reading a book and you decide to replace a word in that book. So every time you meet that word in the book, you replaced it to make the book kind of different. Some people do that with the Bible. One fun one to do is replacing anything that involves the word God with programmer. And so now imagine for a second. Kind of lost my train of thought there. North Korea. What's awful about it? Oh yeah. Okay. So the leader. Um, they've essentially used the Bible and replaced anywhere in the Bible that you would essentially put God with the leader's name. And they use it in kind of a very similar manner to where the belief is that the leader is the son of God or God himself. And it's very when you grow up with a viewpoint like that. She talked about how with the community, how anybody could turn on themselves with the way that they tied the leader to their religious beliefs. She thought that she couldn't even think about a bad thought against the country or the nation or the leader or anything, or people would find out. Everyone was so brainwashed there that they can't even, some people can't even, they would worry to even think about changing their path, even escaping. That's another thing too. Escaping wasn't escape, rape. All these words don't exist over there. Just like these ideas of freedom that we know of it doesn't exist over there. They just don't know about that. What they know about is trying. They're so hungry. They're starving. They're so hungry. They're just trying to gather insects, bugs, tiny grains of leftover rice. Who knows what they're. When at the severest levels of starvation, people are eating rocks. That's what her own father did. And so think about where you are now, if you're listening to this, compared to that. And that's just that's not even the scraping of the top. Listen to it yourself. Yeonmi Park, Sean Ryan podcast, or just type in Yeonmi Park, Y-E-O. What's it? Yeonmi Park. Let me type it out. Y-E-O-N-N. From the top, Yeonmi Park. Yeonmi Park. North Korean defector. But yeah, we have it good over here if you think about it. If you think we don't have it good over here, you you really need to consider looking outside of our country and see what's going on, and really look for legitimate sources. Look hard, look everywhere, and realize that most people don't have the ability to look. They don't. What that everything for them is controlled in North Korea. There is one channel on the TV and it's propaganda or praising the leader. It's You're not allowed to place anything over any pictures of the leader. The greatest honor is that, like if your house is burning down, you can't, as a father, save your children. You have to save the picture of the North Korean leader. You have to protect that with your life. And like in some cases, there are people who have died, their body is charred around the picture because the political crime of damaging or defacing the leader's picture is the three generation punishment, which means you, your kids, and your grandkids are all going to be placed in jail, which means like you getting put in jail, you're going to have kids probably in jail, possibly, and they're going to grow up in jail, and then their kids are going to grow up in jail. And also in these jails, in this place in North Korea, you can't ask why you're here if you're there. You can't you can't ask why you're in prison because they'll kill you. It's that simple. The punishment for asking why you're there is death. So just imagine not only starving horribly, being beaten since before you could probably remember, talk, think, conceive of anything, being made to work, and not knowing anything else. Not knowing anything else. And probably the biggest, I wanted to stop listening to that story so many times, but I persevered and got to a point that really hit me, and that was compassion. And it was when she met these people. They were the first people to tell, I think they were Christian ministers or something like that, or I'm not sure what it was, but it was something like that. And they told her, I'm so sorry this happened to you. And she couldn't wrap her head around the fact that there was people out there that, for the glory of their God, wanted to just save people, and that's it. Just wanted to rescue them. We I think every now and then, because I kind of struggle with feeling like I want to be special or important, like we all do, and um, and then I was thinking about that a lot, and then I come across that, and I realized to be born here in America, where it may very well be the Earth's last chance. I'm not saying that necessarily lightly. I really do mean that in some way. We're all really lucky to be here. And if you're taking it for granted, you really need to look outside of America and think about what's going on, not just what America's up to, and try and conceive a bigger picture and try not to freak out about it either because our attention is important. I'm not saying to get sucked into the news. I'm not saying to lose your mind and start going on some chat forum and getting lost in the internet and talking about a conspiracy. Conspiracies are important too, but it's just we've got to pay attention. Our attention is important, and when we're distracted, that's when horrible things can take place. Our minds, that's when we get brainwashed when we're not paying attention. When we let people pick what we see and hear and talk about, that's more than dangerous. It is the end of humanity when we allow something like that to happen. Because also with AI coming, that's just imagine automating it out of your control. You can't let that happen. We can't let that happen. We live in a place where we are free. The freest, we might be the freest people on planet Earth. And even though things are still horribly wrong out there, and society's backwards and upside down, and every which way that you could possibly imagine, and the results of that are so catastrophically complex and affecting everyone in a way that we can't possibly imagine. It is on such a deep level. At the same time, all of these bad things that are happening, there's people out there that are waking up. There's people that are, they're here to try and change the world for the better. And that's really reassuring. And I think I'm, I think anyone that might be here born in America is supposed to be here to do that. I think, because I think we choose where we're born to some degree. Maybe some of us don't have that choice, but I think a lot of us do. And I think if we were paying attention, we decided to come here at this time and try and make a difference. Even it's possible that Yeonmi Park knew what was going to happen to her, and she decided, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'll take that birth because it needs to happen, and I need to come to America, and I need to come to the last place on Earth where people can make a change and make the turn back, and the last, that underdog moment, that thing that happens in people can happen to everybody, and it can happen here in America, and it's the last place that it probably can happen, and it starts with you yourself changing from the inside and working to fix that the best that you can. And fix isn't the right word. Heal it. You need to heal it. You need to mend it, and you need to pay attention. You need to take care of your body. You need to have your mind on the right track. If you are a male and you feel feminine, if you're gay, be who you are. Recognize that you have a male body, though, and there are advantages to that. If you're a female and you're a lesbian, be who you are, but you have a female body. Recognize the advantages to that. Think about how the world works. Learn about how the world works. Try and put this puzzle together carefully. Think about it hard, because it's, you know, things are never going to stop it going, guys. We're all going to die, but there is a very real sense that we can create heaven on earth, and it's important that we try, because if we don't try, if we assume that it can't be done, if we assume that we can't do impossible things, we're never going to create impossible things. If we assume we can't fly, we won't fly. If we assume we can't travel long distances, we won't come up with motor vehicles, with trains, with planes. If we assume we can't traverse the stars, we won't make rockets. But we're doing that. So believe that we can, and start looking to make a difference in your community, in yourself, and then in your community, and then go broader. But start with yourself and start small, because it's more than important. It is probably why you came here. You came here to make a difference. You were born in America to make a difference. You are here to make a difference, like we all are. I am here to make a difference. And whether that's to bring this to your attention or not, I don't know. I just know that you can't keep sitting there on the couch. You can't keep sitting down. You can't keep brushing this off. You can't keep thinking this experience is not going to have some kind of effect, or that it doesn't matter, that humans aren't important. We are important. And you want to talk about the kids, protecting the kids. Protecting the kids is important. We've got to think about thinking big for them, though, too. We've got to think really big for them. We've got to open our minds for them, because the kids of the future, are going to have abilities that we can't possibly understand or fathom, and we need to be open-minded to that. We can't suppress them, because those people are going to have answers for us too. The children of the future are always the smarter ones. They always come back with more. I sometimes struggle with that as well. I like to think that I'm smart. There are so many more smarter than I, which makes me think I'm not here to be the smartest person. I'm not here to be the nicest person, I guess. I'm here to try, though. I'm here to try. I'm not I'm not here to try and be the smartest or the nicest. I'm here to try and be the best version of myself. Obviously, that's my own struggle. You have your own struggle, but you've got to take a breath every now and then too. Hard times are coming, but so are good times. I know that typically the thing that feels good first causes pain later, and the thing that causes pain now brings about something much greater later. So, work on doing the things that are hard. It's really important that you think about these things. I'm thinking about these things so much that I'm having really interesting dreams now. It's no, we're not going to talk about those dreams yet. Not yet. No. Let's divert. I want to make a song with my friend. He has a tick, and he has a few ticks. I think he is a wonderful, beautiful human being. He is a lovely person. I love him so much. This is definitely a best friend. Definitely a best friend. A great person. Can't wait to bring him on here. And oh boy, I want to make a song with him, and I want to involve his ticks because I think it would be funny, and I think he agrees, and I don't know what to make of that, but it came to me. I think it would be fun because like people that have ticks that they can't control, are embarrassed about that kind of stuff, and it'd be cool if there was a song out there that's like, hey, it's not like a big deal. You can like, if you can't control it, maybe you can use it. You know what I mean? Everybody has something about themselves that they can't control. You can use that. I can't control the fact that I want to draw, and I know what I want to draw now. I know what I want to draw. I know what I want to paint. I know what I'm going to do, and I'm excited to do that. You've got to let what's inside of you out and let it flow, because that's what makes this life so fun and so enjoyable. Is your expression of your gifts upon the world. We all have amazing gifts, and we need to be contemplating on what they are and playing around with them, because that's what's gonna make life so beautiful too. Like everybody displaying their gifts makes this place infinitely crazier and crazier and crazier. And if you everywhere you go, it's interesting. Is there anything wrong with that? I mean, yeah, it makes it infinitely more dangerous, sure. But if there are infinite ways to protect yourself, and if you pay attention, you can have fun in an infinite world. If you wanted to travel the universe, if you wanted to be like an interstellar traveler, like literally, if I was like in this human body, if I got the ability to like get a spaceship and then in the next like 15 years, then travel across the galaxy with my family, I would do that. It would be amazing if everybody was on board. But the thing about that is it would be infinitely dangerous. It would be incredibly dangerous because who knows what's out there. But that would be just so incredibly exciting. I would want to do that. But you know, this Earth is amazing too, and I have not even explored it yet. And I don't think I could. I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't get the chance to explore it in the next 10 to 15 years. I'm not gonna limit my future like that. I think I very well will get the chance to do that. I think the universe has got great plans for me, and I do trust it. And it's funny how I walk myself away from sitting down and doing an experience such as, and when I don't do it for a while, I start to worry. I start to get like bogged down by my old self. My old self would like pull in pieces and find things to worry about, and it's like you're behind here and you're behind there, and every now and then I remind myself I'm doing well. I've come far. I've definitely traveled, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep surprising myself too with what I can do and how far I'll go. And that's part of the adventure. And I'm excited for it, and I know there's a lot to do and a lot to take in and a lot to try and make a good change on. And I think you're here to do the same, and you need to be trying to. You need to be trying to at least realize that. You need to try. Would you calm down? Okay. You need to at least try. You need to at least try and change yourself if you're not having a good time here. You know what I mean? If you're miserable, if you're really miserable, there's something about your path here that you're not doing right. You're miserable because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing here on Earth. You're here, born in America, and if you're miserable, it's because you've been tricked and you've grown up lied to, brainwashed. It may not be severe. It may not be, North Korea level, but you've been brainwashed as well, and you live under false false perceptions, and you need to consider stepping out of your body too. However, in which way, the greatest way, easiest way for a lot of us, if you can do this, is a float tank. Actually, a float tank is a great way. Very very slow start for those of us that are really scared, really worried. If you can get a float tank, if there's float tanks near you, go check that out. Because if you can step out of your body and think about the stuff that's important to you, not the stuff that's taking up your time. If you think about the stuff that's important to you in those places where you can step away, you can come up with some really interesting solutions. And also, you need to trust your intuition. You need to be able to trust that when most people never think of doing this, but imagine for a moment, go sit on the edge of your bed, close your eyes in a quiet environment where you're not going to be bothered, bedroom, on the edge of a chair, on a peaceful front porch, where you just somewhere where you know you're not going to be bothered. Close your eyes and ask yourself, especially if you're miserable, what is it that I'm doing that I could stop doing that would be good for me? And then contrast that with what could I be doing that would be good for me, perhaps to put in place of that. You will get answers immediately, often. You'll immediately get answers. You will get the right answer too. You need to trust those right answers. And typically, you won't like those answers, especially if you're miserable, because those answers are hard. And you need to find, if it overwhelms you, you need to calm down. You need to take a breath. You need to try and look for the smallest step for that. And if you think even picking up a shirt is too hard for you, you know what I mean, off the floor to start cleaning up a pile of clothes, then you need to think smaller and you need to find something you can do. But also, I don't want to make it too easy on some people out there. There are some people out there that are men. There are some people out there that are male. There are some people out there that have testosterone. They have two nut sacks. Two they have an inside nut sack and an outside nut sack. They got a nut sack on their spirit self, and you need to understand that as a male, there is definitely the ability within you to tap into something that is like steel. Because my rock bottom was very, I guess I was lucky to not have something horrible, but it wasn't great being 300 plus pounds and just being generally miserable. Like having a good life, not, you know what I mean? I was fat, eating, can't control myself eating, and and I had a nice I have a beautiful girlfriend at that time who is now my wife, and things are maybe, it's great to have a relationship, but we're struggling with certain things. It's just like still my own personal rock bottom. I was still miserable for all intents and purposes, and I get to that personal moment where I feel like absolute shit, and call it what you want. Fate, the universe, God happens to throw a little grain of sand of motivation my way, and it starts everything. it lit a fire that was always there. It was embering over a long period of time, collecting dead wood, collecting bullshit, and this perfect little something, just this ray of light shot through, and I got angry about it. I got tired of it. I got tired of being tired. I got tired of being who I was. I got tired of looking the way I looked and I wanted to change all of that. I wanted to change all of how I looked and how I operated and how I felt and how I behaved. So I started working on that by going to the gym, no matter what it took. I didn't care if I had to ride a bike or walk. I would do it. Didn't care how far it was to me. Let's get there. Figure it out. I'll get rides if I can. I'll walk if I can't. I will make it happen. And how that started isn't like how everybody typically starts. I As a man, you can start this way. You have the ability to start this way. I got angry. I got mad. I got tired of my shit. And I didn't decide to get angry. I didn't decide to I didn't decide to do anything other than it was just an attitude. It was a behavior that just sprung out of me. I didn't decide anything. I just did. I just got tired of it and I changed it. And I started doing anything I could to do that. It the metaphor that keeps popping into my brain is like a train that's passing by. It's picking up speed, and every now and again you get motivated. You see it come by, this thing that comes through, and it motivates you, and it makes you want to change. And you don't operate on it. You don't grab a hold of it. It passes you by. It comes again. It passes you by. It comes again. It passes you by. And this time I got tired of it. I got tired of how I was. It was the perfect moment where I was maximum miserable, and then that fucking thing came through once again. It had come through many times where it had motivated me, and I'm like, I need to change. I need to fix something. I need to clean up. I need to do something. And then I did it, and on a very small level. But this time I was at my real lowest point, and it came through in such a way and hit such a mark that when that thing whizzed by me, I didn't decide. I just acted. I just behaved in a new way, and I just grabbed a hold of this thing that was running at 1,000 miles an hour, and I decided it. I decided it. No thoughts came to mind. There was no worry of breaking bones. There was no worry of getting hurt. There was no worry of getting injured or making mistakes or anything. This thing came by, and I decided I'm going to grab a hold of it. It's going to launch me into a new realm, and I'm not going to let go of it. And no matter how fast and how crazy things get, and how insane it all may appear to me and scary, I'm going to not let go this time. I'm going to grab a hold of the rocket that's leaving my planet, the world that I was in, and I'm not going to get left behind this time. Because it was like a message. It came through many times. It was like, you can change, you can do this, you can do it. You can pull yourself out of it. You can. And I really think if for some reason I hadn't caught it that time, I would have been stuck in hell. But it came through, and that underdog that lives within all of us that are miserable, that thing that is within you, that is here to make a change, that is here to be the hero of your world, it exists. And if you really if that is really who you are in your darkest moment, that thing will it you won't have to decide. It'll just jump out of you. You need to understand, and you need to believe it, you need to trust all that, your instincts, and just let it jump out of you and let it take the wheel and let it take you to a new place, because that's exactly what happened to me. And all when I decided to do that, all the doors for me opened, and I just flew to a new realm. And then in the okay. And then in the midst of that, D&T came in the mix. And you want to talk about launching to a new realm? I launched that. That was the analogy I would try to make here is like throwing like gasoline on a fire. But imagine that the gasoline, it's not just DMT, it's psychedelics in general. But imagine that the gasoline, when you throw it onto the fire, it's not just an explosion, but the explosion literally creates things. Like imagine if you threw gasoline onto a fire, it exploded, and then out of the fire, trinkets and money maybe a person flies out and a car and and then the person is like, "What's happening? What's going on here? Who are you?" And then the car turns on and it starts driving itself. None of it makes any sense, but at the same time, something important's going on there, and it's part of our world for a reason, and we can't keep ignoring it. It's a part of the puzzle for a reason. We can't not try and find where it fits. Everything fits in our universe and our world for a reason somewhere, and we can't keep scheduling shit. Some shit needs to be some shit. Fentanyl's not good. Fentanyl's really not good. I'm working on a guest. I'm working on getting a guest on here. I'm working on getting another camera that's coming really soon. I think y'all are gonna enjoy that. Those of you that are watching, even yeah, it's gonna be good. Cause see, like that's another thing too. When you decide to do something, and it's definitely a part of your journey, and you really, like I said, decide when it's like when something just needs to jump out of you. Like I said, there was a pressure to need to start this podcast, a pressure to do it. It was a thing that was in me that just needed to jump out. It needed to get out. It needed to be out here in the world, and I needed to be one to be doing that. And just no different than me needing to grab onto that thing that was going to pull me out of my misery. I needed to grab onto this, I don't want to say podcast wave, but I needed to grab onto this opportunity, this thing that was going to once again pass me by, and it kept coming through my mind over and over again, similarly to that. Not exactly the same, but it's a very similar feeling of this thing that's coming through, trying to get your attention, like an idea, and it comes in waves, and when it backs off, you think about it a while, maybe you forget, and then it comes back in, and it's like, hey, you need to maybe do this. Hey, you maybe really should do this. Hey, actually, you're supposed to do this. And it's kind of what it felt like. So here we are. But where was I going with that? Um, we're here to do something. You need to be trying to figure out what that is. And enjoying yourself is in the mix of that too, because this human experience is fun. It can be really nice. It can be really enjoyable. But you know, trying to change things, no matter how hard it can get, having faith helps. Being able to back up a little bit, realize that to some degree, you are here for a reason. You are here to make change, and if you believe in that and you try to work on that, the universe, God, is going to notice that too, and it's going to be like, all right, send him the gifts, send her the gifts, send him or her the messages, give her or him the abilities to tackle this new challenge. Let's start awakening mankind so that it can hopefully save itself. It can have its underdog moment. I love an underdog. I am an underdog. You are an underdog. If you're listening to this, it doesn't matter who you are. You're all underdogs. Even if you're already out on top, you're an underdog in a way that you don't understand. There's something that you're not doing. There's some level of this thing that you're not aware of, and you're the underdog in that. And that's what you're here to figure out too. I so as a part of like this pressure to need to start a podcast, I've realized, it's part of my journey, certainly. And the reason I know is when you do something and then doors open up, that's kind of a really big signal. And when I started this podcast, people that I have known, I say known, people that I've become sort of acquaintances with over the past couple years in this place that I am in, uh, they've opened up in a way that I didn't expect, and they've essentially become rather interesting stories that when they hear that I'm doing this, they're like, hey, let me on there, let's have a conversation. And it's interesting how as soon as I do this, people start popping up, and they've got things that are relative. The things that people need to hear. I've got somebody who's wanting to come on here who's got a kid who's autistic, and and his wife has some very interesting abilities that, according to her, and is working on coming off of SSRIs and certain medications that turned out are not working out for her very well, as far as I understand, or maybe that she's wanting to. I don't understand the full picture. We'll figure out. I'll get him on here and we'll ask and we'll find out. But he's got an interesting story about how he believes his kid became autistic because of the shots that his kid had to get. I think I might be wrong. I'm really super sorry if I'm wrong. I'm sorry, Steve. Um, and then I got another friend, my best friend that I want to get on here. He's an underdog for sure in the truest sense of the word. That guy, he's coming out of the brink of not even the brink. He's coming out of hell, and he is a great guy, and he's gonna have an interesting, I think, couple of things to say about overdosing, and yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Anywho, there's lots to learn. Join me next time to learn them, whatever they are, whatever I talk about. We're gonna cut it off here. I think there's more I want to talk about, but you can't get it all in one go, and I can't sit here forever. I would, but I'm not gonna. I got other things I gotta do. So do you. So do we. So do I. And remember to Om Nava Shivaya. Om Nava Shivaya.